Okay, in this particular problem we're looking at finding the axis of symmetry. And the axis of symmetry, the big thing that we have to do first is we have to find the vertex. Once we find the vertex, then we can easily find our axis of symmetry. Remember that the vertex is either the highest or the lowest point on a graph. And if we look at this particular one, our A value on this one is negative. So this is going to be it's going to be essentially a frowny face. So the vertex on this particular one will be the highest point on this graph. It will be the maximum. And the equation we need to find the vertex is this. X is equal to negative b over 2a. Okay, so then we've got to figure out what a, b, and c are. So a is always the number right in front of the squared term. So x squared, the number in front would be negative 2. B is the one always in front of just the single one. We call that a linear term, just our x. And c is always the very last one. That's our constant. Okay, so if we take our equation here, we've got negative b. Well, b is negative 8, and then over 2a. So we're going to plug that in right now. So our x value is equal to negative b, and so we've got negative, and then b is already at negative 8, all over 2 times a, and a is negative 2. So negative times negative 8 would give me a positive 8. 2 times a negative 2 would give me a negative 4. So 8 divided by negative 4 gives me negative 2. So I know that my x value is negative 2. Okay, now that I know my x value, I can take this information here and I can plug it back into my original equation for x, and that will tell me what my y value is. Now this one is set up in function form, h of x, but we can also rewrite this one if we wanted to into an equation. Y equals negative 2x squared minus 8x minus 11. So this is the same equation as I have up here, only this one's written in function form. And the reason why I changed it is because we're looking for our y value next, and so it's easier just to write the y there instead of the h of x. So now I'm going to take this negative 2 and I'm going to plug it in for each one of these x's. So let's do that. So I've got y is equal to negative 2 times negative 2 squared minus 8 times negative 2 minus 11. Okay, and you'll notice that I did those in yellow because that's where my x value came from over here. This was the negative 2. I'm just plugging it in right here. Now we've got to make sure to do our order of operations. So on this order of operations tells me I have to do my exponents first. So negative 2 squared is positive 4 times a negative 2 would give me negative 8. So y equals negative 8, and then negative 8 times negative 2 would be a positive 16, plus 16 minus 11. Okay, so negative 8 plus 16 would give me 8, minus 11 would give me a negative 3. So my y value equals negative 3. So now I have my vertex. My vertex, all right over here, is negative 2, comma, negative 3. Okay, and where I got that, x equals negative 2, that's where my negative 2 came from, that's my x value. And y equals negative 3, so I've got that over here. So now we found the vertex, which is the hardest part. Now the axis of symmetry, on this particular equation, the graph on this would look something like this. Okay, it's going to be a frowny face. We've just found the vertex, and so our vertex is right here at negative 2, negative 3. Now, the axis of symmetry is this line here that goes up and down and divides that graph directly in half. And the graph is going to be symmetrical. It's going to be the same on both sides. It's going to have that same shape, those same features. And so we have to figure out what that line is right here, if there were an equation there for that line. And this is a vertical line. All vertical lines are x equals. So let's write that out. X equals some number. And the number that it is our x value in this one. Negative 2. That is right in the middle. So our axis of symmetry is x equals negative 2. And that's our answer on this one. So basically we have to find our vertex. Once we found our vertex, we take our x value, and we just write x equals whatever that value is. In this case, it's negative 2. And that is a vertical line right there at x equals negative 2. That is our axis of symmetry.